Hello, everyone. Welcome to our Power Hour today on youth selling experiences. I'm Elizabeth Chois, Senior Manager of Education for Entrepreneur Institute. I've been learning a lot about markets and selling experiences over the last year in my role here at YEI. While I attended and supported youth markets previously, I've really gained a new appreciation for the benefits of what goes into the preparation and the skills that are developed through these experiences. Our music today is the song Money by the Beatles, not the only goal, of course, but certainly part of the interest for kids as they prepare for markets. While making money can be a motivator, we are here to talk about the myriad of other factors that can inspire kids to sell. On the first slide here, we had you share a word, phrase, or emoji to describe your experience with youth selling, either your own or as an educator. We already have a wide variety here. So we have lemons, probably for lemonade, selling money, connecting with what students are passionate about, fun, time, encouraging outlandish and creative ideas, smiley faces, being happy, growing their micro businesses that markets, wonder, definitely wondering and expanding growth, celebrating. So all kinds of different reasons that you are here, things that you want to explore, maybe learn today. And I hope that we get to expand your mind so that you can help expand your kids. So keep throwing things in the chat, please. Any questions or comments that come up, or even if you just want to share experiences or thoughts that you have, the chat will be open the whole time. I do want to mention that we partner with the online platform Yippee, which has startup kits and maker curricula, along with other offerings that will be shared today, and other things that will not be shared today that you can explore. These can all be purchased via Points for Educators. It's a grant funded source for many types of materials and resources for educators in and out of school. If you have not yet investigated or registered on the Yippee website, stay at the end of the hour. We can give you more information, answer any questions that you might have. And if we could get to the agenda slide. First, today we're going to hear from Jessica Dragar. Jessica has been at YEI since 2018. As outreach and engagement manager, she works to build excitement about youth entrepreneurship and bring educators into the young entrepreneurship education ecosystem. In addition, Jessica has been our program lead for YEI's Young Entrepreneur Market Program for her entire time with the organization, which means that for 7 years, she has been working with individual students, educators, and youth education partners to put together effective and enriching selling experiences for young entrepreneurs. After Jessica, we're going to hear from Justin Lepley. Justin is an entrepreneur, creator, and volunteer dedicated to growing opportunities in Northeast Ohio. He's the owner and founder of the Lepley Holdings family of companies and is a passionate educator at Mount Union College, where he works with college student entrepreneurs. He is chairman of the board at Mentor Stark, where he strives to create mentoring opportunities in Stark County. As the director of Northside Marketplace, he works to help other entrepreneurs start and grow their brands in Akron's shared entrepreneurial marketplace. Northside Market has been a wonderful partner to Northeast Ohio young entrepreneurs. And then finally, to wrap up, I will introduce our brand new Young Entrepreneur Market Toolkit that is designed for adults who want to help kids start a business. And just a quick reminder that we will be recording this, and that the recording, slides, and link from this Power Hour will be sent to you after the program. Please feel free, like I said, to drop any questions or comments into the chat, and we will answer them either as they come or at the end of the hour. Jessica, would you like to start us off?
Sure. Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining us. And thank you, Elizabeth, for that introduction. Again, I'm Jessica Dragar, and I have been with YI 7 years. And I first came to the organization actually to run the Young Entrepreneur Market Program. That has led to some other amazing opportunities here, as well as, in addition to that program, work with students firsthand at our own school. So I feel like I have a lot of information that I can share with you. And then, in addition to myself, some of you might be familiar with our teammate, Patty Owens. Patty has been working with me with the Young Entrepreneur Market Program for the past few years. And so she is my right hand and she helps with a lot of the day-to-day management of the program. So please throw any questions you guys have in the chat, and then Patty or I will answer them when we can. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to share screen. Hopefully you guys see it. And as long as I get that thumbs up from Elizabeth. So today we're all here to talk about markets and selling and why it's important for our students to be engaging in these real world experiences. First of all, it helps develop skills that are so important for future success. I know that you hear why I talk about this all the time, how we want our students to be career ready, we want them to be workforce ready, we want them to be successful in whatever endeavor they take on. But when you add in this important aspect of selling, it helps students build skills that they might not normally get. So the students might come up with a really great idea and not know what to do with it. They're going to put it into action and execute a plan to be able to go out and sell. So with this, they're learning all these different pieces and parts of what goes into starting something brand new. We want them to sell and be out in the community at least one time to get this experience. We love it if they have the opportunity to do it more than that. But to get that external validation from community members, validating the work that they're doing is so important for their confidence. It's important to get them maybe thinking in a different direction of where their career path might take them, and really to help them build that confidence of what it is that they're able to go ahead and accomplish. So we want students to talk a little bit about what inspires them, what's their talents, and what are their passions. So by creating a business, they're able to think of all of these things in a new way. So when I work with students, I tend to sit down and say, okay, what is something you like? What is something you love? And what is something you're really good at? And with thinking of those three things, students tend to be able to think a little bit differently about what it is that they could create. So let's say you're a dog lover and you are a baker. It might be a really easy connection to say, hey, I think I want to try making dog treats because we like to give our dog treats to reward them when they're behaving and they're doing good and following commands. My son, for example, has sold a lot of different things, and one of the things that he has sold is dog treats. We have a 3-year-old poodle named Sawyer. He was, sitting around, and when you sort of live in the house with me, you're always thinking of new things that you can make and create. And on his own, he came up with, hey, wait a minute, I can make dog treats, and I want to find a really healthy version for our dog. So that's great. This young man here, I am going to point out, his name is John. He's a student that I have worked with since he's been in 6th grade. He was of a COVID year student in middle school, who reached out and said, hey, Mrs. Dragar, like, I really like succulents. I want to grow succulents and sell succulents. And I kind of, listened to him, encouraged him, and said, okay, John, how are we going to do this? How are we going to make and create these succulents? And he did a ton of research. He got really into it. And this is John last summer. So summer of 24. His succulents were finally large enough to sell. So he finally sold. So for years, he was persistent. So he learned a lot, right? He found a new skill trying to develop a green thumb. He was persistent. He realized that this project that he took on took a lot longer than he ever anticipated it taking. And this is him at the Shaker Square Farmers Market. If anyone is here locally in Northeast Ohio, I think he sold twice, and his succulents were completely sold out. And so he's now a junior and has had his hands on a lot of different businesses, but I think that this was his most favorite. And again, most longest endeavor that it took him to get to market. And then this is a young man named Sachin. He's an artist, so he's been selling for quite a while. But we want students to have fun. We want them to identify things in themselves that they didn't even know were there. And the confidence piece is really what we strive to build on. The money is, yes, an added bonus, right? They love to get the extra cash in their pocket, which we hope that they invest in themselves. They maybe save some, and then they go ahead and they share some with the community to give back. Those are all, principles that we really focus on when we're telling students when they're looking at starting businesses. But the confidence piece is so important. It improves their public speaking skills. It gets them out in front of a crowd that they might not normally engage with. And they get to really embrace themselves and what's going on around them and be a part of the moment. And they're taking chances that a lot of adults don't even take. A lot of adults are afraid to have a side gig or take a chance on a new endeavor and take a risk. And these students in grades, kindergarten through 12th, are taking that chance now with the hopes that if they take these chances, they fail forward, they pick themselves back up, they're going to be more willing to take those risks as they get older and into whatever career path they go into. So we're huge proponents. We love selling, the selling experiences. It's great. So with selling, there's lots of ways you can get involved with selling. We want selling to be easy. We want selling to be accessible for you as an educator, both in school and out of school time, who's on the call today. So easy ways to encourage selling in your community, your respective communities, is that identify something that's already happening, a chorus concert, a track meet, an open house, and talk to your administration and say, hey, can we set up a table with some kids who really want to sell? And start small, because the key is to get students in an area where there is traffic, where there's already going to be adults that are going to be willing to spend some money. You also have to think about who is going to make the products. What students will be making them? Do you have a club? Do you have students that are doing it on their own? And are they going to make products as an individual or as a whole? And then you can, take your students out to visit Northside Marketplace that Justin's going to talk about in a little bit. You can take them to visit other farmers markets or vendor fairs that are in your community so that you can see what those experiences look like. Because some students have actually never even been to a farmers market before, and they might not know what it looks like, that you have a tent, that you have a table, that there's people walking by that you're interacting with, and they might not know that that energy can be really addictive. The energy is exciting and they build off of it. When students are looking to do very first projects, we suggest that you keep products simple, you keep them low cost, and you have students talk about who that customer might be. Some of these things Elizabeth is going to share with you during her slides, so I don't want to repeat too much. But you have to think about who's going to be there. So if there's an open house, are people going to be hungry, right? Do people need a snack because it's a funny time between dinner and bedtime and people are going to want something sweet? So maybe it's, taking advantage of making a favorite cookie recipe. But if you keep things simple for those first experiences, students get hooked and tend to get hooked, and they're ready to go. So a little different than a bake sale. That's not what we're talking bake sale stuff. We're talking about maybe it's making a mold in the maker space and making chocolates, or doing something a little bit different to get students out of that comfort zone. And again, we also want them to then take that to the next level the next time they sell and build off of different ideas. So for our friends here in Northeast Ohio, we have a really robust program called the Young Entrepreneur Market. We're very fortunate that Northeast Ohio has a strong support for our youth. So our organization provides selling experiences at farmers markets and other community events across the region year round. And it is open to all students in grades K to 12, students as well as teachers to register their classes. And we have been fortunate that we have partnerships as far west as Lorain County, as far south as Canton, and as far east as, I guess, I'm not quite sure if, I guess Chardon's probably the furthest east that we go. But you'll see us on any given Saturday at a variety of places. I think we're up to about 8 locations, with a new one being the Lakewood Farmers Market this year, which we're really excited to be at, which is on Wednesdays. Students, we provide them the tent and the table because we don't want any barrier for them to participate. Students get to come, they get to set up, they're treated just like an adult vendor, which is super important. And Products have to be made or designed by them. There's a couple rules they have to follow that Patty or I review with students before they sell. And it is just, it's really wonderful. There's no charge for them. They get to keep all the money that they make under the tent. The only request that we have is that we just ask them to fill out a quick survey for us after their selling experience, just so that we can track and see, okay, how many units did you bring with you to the market? How did they sell? What was your anticipated profit? What was your greatest success of the day? And what was that biggest challenge? So if we see week after week the challenge is the same, we can then reach out to that student and say, hey, let's talk about this a little bit. Is your price point in the right place? Or are you having a hard time connecting with customers? Do we need to work a little bit on pitching together to get you really comfortable and confident public speaking and share your message and share your story appropriately? Again, no cost for students to participate. Super easy process. You just reserve the space on our Sign Up Genius, which I think Patty can probably throw in the chat if anyone's interested in looking. Our sign up, just for anyone who's checking it out, it does run sort of school calendar year. So we have everything updated through the end of June right now. And then probably within the next month, we'll have our July dates and further out posted and available for people to go ahead and reserve. So with us and our team working with Patty and I, we can work with you to talk about best practices and guidance if you're looking to work with a group of your students, or if you know that there's a student already making in your class or your program who you want to connect to us and you think that we could help support, send them our way. So we will provide best practices. We'll also connect and brainstorm with you to figure out what the right product might be for your students. And so we can help guide you with that. Also provide some guidance on where would be the best place for your students to sell, or is creating that experience really what's important for you at your own school community. Patty and I also will come into any venue and talk to your students to get them ready for some day of prep, which is always really exciting. We do mock table displays, what's a good table, what's not a good table, and then also trying to brainstorm all the different things your students will need for a successful selling event. So everything from tablecloths to napkins to cash to are you accepting payments electronically? So we have a whole long list of checklists to review with students, which is really helpful to get them, thinking in a different way. So, um, let's see here. I didn't check the chat, so I don't know, Elizabeth, if there's any questions for me to answer. Sorry, and then
We're
also,
monitoring. We're
oh, you
we're
got
we're
it?
having
Oh, okay,
some
perfect. I'm sorry.
conversations. Yep.
Okay, because I'm just trying to be mindful of our time here because we have a lot of really amazing information to share with everybody. So as Elizabeth mentioned, we are available, we're involved with the Yippee Exchange, which is again this grant making and giving platform, which is available to educators. Young Entrepreneur Market is on Yippee. If you search the Young Entrepreneur Market, we'll get two products will pop up that are available to you. One is a selling workshop where we'll come in and talk to your students. The other opportunity is for actually getting those funds available to start a classroom-based business. So this is a really popular one. It's the one that's in the bottom half of the screen, supplies for a real-world selling experience. I can tell you that I just today purchased some t-shirts for an educator who is teaching students how to screen print. So they're learning a new skill and they're going to be selling screen printed t-shirts, both designed and made by students. So they purchased this, supplies for real world selling. I was able to purchase him the t-shirts because his classroom budget didn't allow for him to have them, and then sent those t-shirts out to him. We had a talk about how they're gonna market the t-shirts, how they're gonna price the t-shirts, and any other additional support for them. So that's gonna get them sort of off and running with that amazing new business idea. So we are really supportive of educators. We love to brainstorm. I think brainstorming is probably one of my favorite things to do. And every school community and out of school time community is so unique that there is something special that's happening within your four walls. And I like to capitalize on that. Also, we practice what we preach. At our school on May 9th, we will have a market experience with about 65 boys in grades K to 8 selling at one time at an event we call the May Market. And so it's wonderful, and you feel the excitement. You see so many smiles between the parents and the students, and it's really a huge feel-good event for everybody involved. So yeah, so I think, was there anything in here? Or are these all just Let's see. Oh, Southwest Virginia. So we are happy to talk through how we can bring something like this to Southwest Virginia, or how we can brainstorm how you can bring something locally to your school or your site. And we are so fortunate that we have a really great relationship with our local farmers markets that we would be happy to even hop on a call with you to talk to your local farmers market and try to explain to them how the program works here, how it can maybe be duplicated where you are, and try to guide you through that entire process. So that was Sheila's question. Let's see. Yes. So did I miss anything else, Elizabeth? I
No, I
did
don't.
things. Eileen says yes.
I'm saying we're good.
Oh, we're good. Oh, okay. I was like, what else did I miss? So yeah. So, and if you've been, I know Liz has been doing Inspire. I'm looking to see who else is in the room with us. We always have students that are selling things at Inspire. Everything from, like I said, baked goods to crocheted items to, photography that's put on beautiful note cards, to students who've written books, bedazzled jean jackets. I mean, really, the sky is the limit, and students come up with some amazing high quality products. Leather goods, there's a young man in our slides who does handmade leather goods, students that make wood cutting boards. And I also encourage you to connect if you're not the educator that's playing in the makerspace all day or in the wood shop, connect with those educators too and see if you can form a really great collaboration with them, to get some amazing things made and out into the community. And it boosts the image of your school as well. So it's really great. So.
Thank you. Yeah, there's a lot in there, right? Like a lot to unpack. So if any of that resonates with you or you want to explore any of those ideas more, right? There's a lot there connecting the interests of the students. And like she said, we have interests all over the place, and exploring that with kids where their interests lie that might at all be something that customers would be interested in buying and that they would be good at, and making that connection, that overlap, and having them take that chance and build that confidence, what that looks like, and simplifying it to explore a selling experience, whether it is at a local market or creating your own market. Like Jessica mentioned, we create that May market, and I will talk a little bit more about how you can do that through that toolkit that I'll talk about later. But if any of that interests you, definitely reach out, whether it's through that that Yippee, I mean, those both of those products on Yippee through the Yem, whether it's just connecting with us or the materials for a selling experience. So awesome. Thank you. That was a lot to go through. Justin, would you like to talk about your amazing experiences and share that, please?
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for having me on to share a little bit. I bring kind of a unique I come to this in a unique way because one, I'm director of Northside Marketplace. And so just to share a little bit about what that actually is, we're a co-op here in Northeast Ohio and downtown Akron, and we represent 140 unique entrepreneurs within our space, from full restaurants and eateries to adults that make candles and a lot of the similar products as the students, a little bit of everything. And so, all in this one place, we utilize a central register. So the entrepreneurs don't have to be physically present in order to have their products for sale. Um, and so, this has started since 2017. I joined in 2020 with my small business, plant and florist shop at the time. And then we've kind of continued to grow and pivot from there. But then also, I've done a lot with entrepreneurship education from working with YEI as their entrepreneur in residence. I now teach at Mount Union. I've also done a lot of volunteering with high school groups through junior achievement, where high school seniors start a business and really accumulate in selling a product or service and presenting that business. So as soon as I kind of took on the director role at Northside, reaching out to YEI and connecting with Jessica was one of the very first, I think literally in that first week I took over, one of the steps I took in relationships I wanted to build because these selling experiences are so powerful for all entrepreneurs, but especially the students and our young entrepreneurs. One of the things that I think is really important, in addition to all the different pieces that Jessica listed, as far as building confidence, right? Having some of those hard conversations or talking about your product. How do you professionally talk about yourself? These are all real world things that students get to work through when they're set up and tabling. But even more important than that, or maybe not more important, but similarly important, is a selling event really gives sort of a deadline. It gives a goal to work towards and achieve. So if you're making your products, whether you're growing succulents and that takes a while to do, or you're screen printing on shirts, it really gives a firm goal and deadline for you as the educator working with your student to guide them towards, as well as for the student to really say, okay, I have to get all of these different pieces and parts that I'm working on together, and maybe not perfect, but together enough that they can share it with the world. And then the best part is it's not necessarily or doesn't have to be a one-time deadline or experience in the same way that sometimes presentations can be, right? You work on a project for class, you do all this research, all this work, you present it, you get feedback, but oftentimes you're finished there. With entrepreneurship and these selling opportunities, you really accumulate in this experience, and then the students are immediately empowered to go back and continue to grow on the idea that they had on whatever their product was. What is maybe the next iteration of that? How can they improve it? What went really well, and how can they do more of that? And these are all things that they get from these live selling opportunities, especially, but really just the opportunity to sell their products in general. And so how this is sort of accumulated in this partnership with YEI, and also through Yippee, is we have a couple unique opportunities. One is very regularly on the last Sunday of each month, we host an in-person young entrepreneur market. And Patty and Jessica help facilitate that. And so usually we have somewhere from 3 to 6 individual students or student groups that come and they set up in our central dining area. As I mentioned, we have a number of different restaurants. So lots of people come in for Sunday brunch, come in to shop, to hang out. There's a bike shop next door across the street. And so oftentimes, especially in the summer, a whole group of people who are out mountain biking through the city will come in all at once to get, a coffee or a drink. And this really just creates an opportunity with traffic and potential customers who are going to come through and get to talk to the students. I meet most of the people at the door as they're coming in and really challenge them to, hey, even if you don't buy something, ask a question, give an idea, give some feedback. Any market is only as good of an opportunity as the number of connections that the students get. And that usually doesn't correlate directly to sales. It's really those experiences that are what give the greatest value. You can have a slow market and a student can do absolutely incredible on the sales end. And then you can have a really busy market and maybe they get lots of experience, but for whatever reason, they don't make as many, profitable sales. But both of those can be really good and worthwhile experiences. Now, as opposed to, or not opposed to, but in addition to these in-person selling opportunities, we have something kind of unique at the marketplace for those who are in the region. And that's we also have a product on Yippee that allows students to sell their products in a 13-inch vendor cube. So we have little sort of storage shelf cubes that each have their own light in them. And students can sign up to get into our system. We actually help teach them to create barcodes, how product SKUs and things like that work. And then once they come and set up their products, they're able to have them there for 3 months, and they can actually extend that to be a 6-month opportunity at no cost to the educator or the student. And so with this, oftentimes I find one of the best ways to go about it is if a young entrepreneur comes to the marketplace, either in terms of one of the in-person selling events, or we offer field trips where we really give a tour and I walk through the whole process of how the marketplace works. And then if the students take that back and say, okay, either how could I make my product work in this environment? Or oftentimes, how could I create a product if they're entrepreneurial in nature? Or through your class, how can you work to say, we have this space, this opportunity? What would be a good fit for that market? What is not currently at Northside that is maybe an opportunity? What's new and trending on TikTok, that could be a thing that they could create and bring to our market. And then from there, they're able to experiment with things like pricing, with labeling and packaging. How do you merchandise things, right? A whole big, big, intense concept. But really, it's how do you make this look good to your shopper in this cube environment that you have? And then they're also able to continue to make changes regularly over the 3 to 6 months that they're selling those products, based on, hey, maybe we didn't see a lot of sales this month. So instead of having our widget for $15, we're going to price them at 15 or 2 for 20, and see how does that affect our sales? How does that affect our profit margins, right? All of those questions they can really play with in real time and experiment. With that opportunity, they don't have to be physically present in order to sell their products. So it's just not just on, the 3 or 4 hours they're there on the Sunday. Their products are in front of consumers 6 days a week. And ultimately, they get the payment for all of those products. They get 95% of every sale. We don't keep any commission, whether they be our adult vendors who are part of the 140, or this young entrepreneur opportunity. That 5% fee is what covers all of our credit card processing. And then we provide the bags and packaging for the sales as well. And so it can be a really unique way, especially for those in the area, to the class can promote and send folks in to support that particular student or vendor. But then also they're exposed to just all the folks who walk by every day and see those products, or maybe connect with them somewhere else. Parents and educators are sharing things on, or or sharing their products online, and you can say, "Hey, you can go into Northside Marketplace 6 days a week to support the student." Another thought when I was talking through what we wanted to share and kind of talk about and highlight here is that in pitch competitions, which if anyone wants to throw a hand up if they've had students who's ever participated in some form of pitch competition. Seeing some hands there. Um, Oftentimes, as educators, I think this is one of the most common or sort of entry points for a large number of students into entrepreneurship and what business is. And a lot of the business projects usually accumulate in some sort of pitch. But more and more now we're seeing across all kinds of different programs. Even my students at Mount Union who just participated in the collegiate level pitch competition with EEC here in Northeast Ohio. They had about half of their sort of final score presentation involved tabling. And all that tabling is really one of these pitch or in-person selling opportunities. You're thinking through a lot of the same things that Jessica was talking about that they walked through students with of how are you going to create your table or your booth? How are you going to lay out your products? What information do you need? Do you need to take payments? All those sort of things. And so even if as an educator you've considered or looked at entering in some of these different programs, pairing some of the YEI or any programs in your area that give these real live in-person selling opportunities can be a great way to not only strengthen the student's experience and what they're going to present at the pitches, and test some of those hypotheses that they have. But it can also be a great training ground for when they're ready to actually go and pitch for that final competition. Um, Percolating with ideas and things, so happy to keep talking, but can answer any questions as well. Or am happy to hand it off to Elizabeth to share about the toolkit, and then can always circle back for questions at the end as well.
Yeah, no, I love it. Yeah, please feel free to drop anything in the chat question wise, but thank you, Justin, because that it was great to hear about different types of opportunities, different models that you have, ways that you do have the in-person, but then also the cubes and the ways to kind of think about how that changes what you might sell or how you might sell things, but also that they get to leave it there. And then also different ways that you table and spaces, right? The different spaces that you have different entrepreneurial experiences. So I also really liked how you mentioned, you reinforced some of the things that Jessica said, but also incorporating, they're not just pitching their product, right? They're pitching themselves and sharing their story. And then also that like constant achievement, right? Like it's not just the end, it's the next benchmark and next benchmark on. So all of these are really great skills that we reinforce all through these experiences. So thank you. And yeah, I think like I said, and Justin said, feel free to put questions or comments in that chat. I am gonna maybe take a minute here to talk about the toolkit, and then Jessica, Patty, Justin, and I can answer questions after that about any of our different pieces and parts. So I will, oh my goodness, I have to pin myself. I don't know how I feel about that, but here I am. So I'm going to share my piece here. So we have, oh, my screen sharing has been paused. One moment. One moment, please. Perhaps I will share my screen. Yeah. I could share it earlier. Well, here we go. Can you see it now? Maybe? No?
It's coming.
Yeah? No? Yeah?
Not yet. Coming.
No? It says it's paused, and I'm not sure why, because it came no problem when I tested it.
Why don't you focus on that real quick, Elizabeth? I'm just going
Yeah.
to follow up with what Justin just said. Oh, there we go. Never, you
You
got
can
it.
say what you were going to say.
No,
You can
no. So he talked about how the opportunities all could be layered together, and that's exactly what we're hoping for. So if a student comes and sells with the young entrepreneur market for a while and they're ready for something else, then they can go and they can set up one of those passive income spaces within Northside Marketplace, or they can then connect and go on to participate in a fellowship program that's run by our organization or one of our partner organizations, and then enter pitch contests to possibly win money. And there's a young man now who has a business called Jams by Josh. He's in Solon. He has been making jams since he's been in about seventh grade, and has now gotten to the point that he goes to the fruit depot to get his fruit. He just won a huge contest here in Cleveland, a few $1,000s to put into his business, and is now finally looking at production facilities for someone else to be helping him make his jam instead of him, overflowing his parents' kitchen and then moving on to the commercial shared kitchen space. So really the sky is the limit for some of these students. And yes, Liz, his jam, amazing, right? I love it that Liz has had it. So it's all of these experience build, and you just never know where a student is going to take it and what is going to inspire them. So there you go, Elizabeth. Sorry, I was
Yeah, no,
trying to
you're fine because I
make you
think
focus
I,
on
I think
fixing your.
actually that story goes a lot with how I was going to kind of lead into this because we do all work together and help each other grow, right? The kids and each other. I mean, the collaboration between Northside Marketplace and YEI and the YEM program that YEI does, and these spaces and how everything builds off of each other, and we help each other grow. And so hopefully, all of this will inspire you as in and out of school educators to, take advantage of working with YEI and the Young program, or, one of Justin's awesome offerings. And, whether it's on Yippee or, anything else, to create these spaces and encourage your students to prepare for a selling experience, which is what this toolkit is going to do. So connected with all of this, we have been working very hard. And I will say, Patty and Jessica have put a lot of work into this. So I am presenting kind of this lovely, polished, we're almost finished product. But so much of this is from years of them working with the kids and the YEM program. And we have almost published this. It will be coming out soon. This educator's guide to talk through students and prepare them through the process of idea and product development towards marketing and selling at a market. And the toolkit also has a component to guide adults toward creating a selling experience of their own, if that is your objective. So I'm going to present the overview of what the toolkit looks like here. So the title is Teaching Young Entrepreneurs to Prepare for a Selling Experience, a guide for adults. And the objective is to help support young entrepreneurs preparing for a real world selling experience. And yes, as Jessica said, it will be open source. So just a quick download, nice and easy and free. So we have collaborated with Brian Weisfeld. He has a series of books called The Startup Squad, and then wrote You're the Boss, a kid's ultimate guide to starting your own business, and then created Boss Brainstorms, which is a series of worksheets to guide students through kind of a similar process. And we are using some of his worksheets that we helped collaborate with to create and bringing them back into our toolkit. The why for this, of course, a lot of the things that Jessica and Justin just talked about. So to encourage learning through trial and error, to foster creativity, self-confidence, communication skills, develop financial literacy, problem solving, customer service, flexibility. Sorry. And obviously other things. Oh, that didn't work. Sorry. Oh well. So it's really going to be a 3-part toolkit. So part 1 is going to help adults guide young people K-12 through the process of designing, launching, and managing their own small business. Part 2 will help you plan to help and organize a young entrepreneur market selling experience at your school or in your community if you choose. And then part 3 will be more resource and documents to help guide you and the kids through this whole process. So that's just more a resource guide. So to break that down a little more easily, part 1 is really like a teaching guide. Part 2 is if you want to create that kind of market space, like Jessica talked about, that May market that we do. So your own selling experience. And then part 3 will be all the resources in kind of a condensed guide. There we go. So in part 1, we break it down into 7 lessons, and each lesson will have a title and description. So for example, our problems and purpose lesson will have the title. It will explain, it's important for young people to feel connected to their business idea. And what we're going to do here in this lesson, that it will have the headings and guidance for what these worksheets are going to do. And then it will have the thumbnails for the worksheets and links to the worksheets. You can click on those in the digital guide to take you to printable worksheets for your students. They also, for each of these 7 lessons, of course, you can pick and choose, right? If your students already have their problem and purpose, if they already have their idea, you can skip over those. If they already have their motivation or their why, then you move on to interests and skills, right? They have no obligation to do every single one of these, but we are providing all the steps to create that foundation to build on and walk them through and walk you through creating a comprehensive guide for them as they build through first creating their idea and then walking through all the way to the marketplace. And those 7 steps are problems and purpose, identifying their idea, then people, understanding your customer, product, perfecting your offerings, price, setting the right price, pitch, crafting your story, presentation, making an impactful display, profits, and practice. So we tried to stick with the 7 Ps. But of course, like I said, you can skip, pick and choose, play around with what your kids need, and use the guidance, the worksheets, the steps as you need for your program. And going back, what the title, description, and guidance will help you choose what you need for your different groups. For your own experience, so part 2, if you want to create your own market or your own selling experience, we will have planning guidelines. So the part 2 will help you set your goals. It'll help you get started. It will help you decide, who will sell, what you're going to sell, when it'll take place, things like Jessica talked about, will you piggyback off a concert that's already happening or another event that's already taking place, how to guide students, how to get volunteers, what funding you might need, all of those things. It will walk you through it, all of those steps. It will have checklists. So you can see there's the graphic here that, what happens 3 or more months out, and it will have checklists all the way to the day of the actual event. So it really guides you through in a step-by-step way that so that you don't have to worry or fret, because this is coming from the experts, people who have been doing this for years, right? Who have worked out the kinks and know what they're doing, so that they really have kind of pared this down to what you need to think about. And then also included in this will be the student checklist. So what they will need to have on that day, what they will need to bring, what they will need to think about, any forms that they will need to have, permission slips, all of those things. All of that is laid out for you if you are developing your own. So again, that part 1 is creating that product or idea and leading students to creating it. Part 2 is if you want to develop that event for your community or school. Then that's it. And then part 3, like I said, will be any documents, all the worksheets, PDFs, everything in the order that you would need them. The worksheets, but also the checklists and everything else. Patty and Jessica, as you were part of the content in that, do you have anything that you want to throw in? Or Eileen, would you like to throw in anything that I am missing in terms of content of that?
We had one, I was just responding to a question about how will people be able to access the toolkit. And the first thing is, we're not quite ready yet. We think within 30 days, very, very close. And all channels. It will be on all channels. It will be on our website. We'll send some emails out. It will be available on Yippee. And we can also throw it in the Power Hour resources as well.
Absolutely. All right. Yeah. And if you have any questions about the toolkit, about what Jessica said, and for Yem with her and Patty, or what Justin was saying about his offerings, please, this is a great time to ask.
One piece I just wanted to throw in really quick, and not to put anything more on everyone viewing, is educators are always out there doing the most as it is. But one of the most important parts for any selling event is having potential customers, right?
Mhm.
Again, even if you can't go and buy from every youth entrepreneur, I know my house is covered in different things from these markets. Just going and asking a question, saying, oh, what are you selling? And letting them do their pitch. Give some leading questions, maybe if they left something out. And that'll help them think about that. And if you listen, you'll often hear them incorporate the questions you ask into the next person they pitch that to. They'll just put that answer right in there. And so as much as you can participate and visit local markets when they're happening. Stop by that young student who's at your farmer's market when you're, getting your produce and your veggies every week. It goes a long way. But as we've been building ours at Northside Marketplace over, I think, the last 2 years now, I see some regular faces who make an effort to stop in that last Sunday when we do it, and it's really impactful. So.
That's a great point. But I do want to throw out just a quick announcement that, well, a couple quick things. Our next Power Hour will be Wednesday, May 21st, and it will be focused around entrepreneurship through art and creative design. So make sure to save the date on that. It's going to be fun. And then there was a question earlier about getting Yippee points for today's Power Hour. Yes, everyone today will receive 20 Yippee points for attending. These points,
200, I think.
I said 200. Didn't I say 200?
Yes,
200.
200.
Yeah. 200 Yippee points for attending the Power Hour. These points are available to everyone, regardless of your geographic area. And we are always looking for feedback. So I'm going to put the code for the Yippee points and the link for the survey in the chat here. Please fill out the survey. Positive, negative, whatever you have to say about today's Power Hour is very valuable. So here's the link and then the code for Yippee. And again, if you have questions about Yippee or haven't registered, please stay on and we will talk you through that and also tell you how to redeem that code.
I have one quick thing to
Yep.
add. As you're thinking about this, and if you're wanting to get something off the ground with the students that you work with, and if coming up with their own ideas seems a little bit daunting, we know you're capable of it and your students are capable of it. However, there are some additional kits on Yippee that you can purchase that then students can sell. So there is some great kits by a group called CEOs of Tomorrow, who has a gummy bear kit and has a soap making kit. And then there's another one from LaJashley, which is another really great provider on Yippee, and she makes kits that has everything you need to make 30 body sprays, as well as some other products. So take a look at those ready-made kits that just get delivered right to your door. Your students can make them in class or at camp and then take them right to market without you having to overthink what's happening. And some of those actually involve lessons in regards to pricing as well, so you know how to appropriately price those products. So we just want to encourage you to take that chance and take advantage of it any way you can. So I just wanted to add that in there. So
Can I add a few things as well?
Please.
I love the markets. I work with kids and market managers every week. It's exciting to see what they come up with, how they grow, how they mature. Don't be afraid to reach out to Jessica and I. I can help give you some tips and tricks with promotion, how to get maybe community members to support what you're doing, get them to show up, who in your community you might be able to partner with to drive that traffic to your event if it's one that's going to be open to the public. But yeah, definitely we've seen a lot of success with just markets that are just school-based. You'd be surprised how many of the grandparents, the aunts and uncles, the neighbors, they all come out. They all want to be a part of the young entrepreneur story. So enjoy.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for coming. Thank you, all of everyone who contributed, all the speakers. Thank you, Jessica, Justin, Patty, and really do reach out to us. We all want to help. We all want to collaborate. If you're not, like they said, if you're not in Northeast Ohio, we still want to work with you. Please reach out so that we can create these experiences for the kids that you work with. So, and thank you again.
And if any of our friends from Northwest Arkansas are on the session today, we are going to be starting regular markets in that area. Marion and Halola and the team out there are putting together some amazing opportunities for our growing market in Arkansas.
Right. Excellent. Thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful rest of your day.
Thanks, Elizabeth.
Thank you. Bye.